You were never built to chase. Never built to plead, justify, or sit in silence for someone who already chose to walk away. Yet that's what too many men end up doing after heartbreak. Left behind, betrayed, forgotten. They disappear into a silence that doesn't heal but haunts. It's not power, it's paralysis dressed as patience. And right now you're at a breaking point. You either stay stuck in the rearview mirror, hoping to matter to someone who already moved on, or you rise into the man she'll never be able to replace. This video isn't just advice, it's your turning point. You'll learn how to turn your silence into presence. How to own your emotions, not be owned by them. How to become the man who no longer needs closure, because he becomes the ending and the new beginning. And when we're done, you won't just feel better, you'll become better. Tap subscribe if you're ready to rebuild from the ashes. If you've been burned, betrayed, or left searching for your strength, liking, commenting, and sharing this video helps us reach the next man in the dark. The next man who's quietly breaking. You might just help him change his life, the way you're about to change yours. The pain she never saw coming. She walked away thinking she had it all figured out. Whether it ended in explosive words or in that cold, calculated quiet, she was certain she knew your next move. She pictured her phone lighting up with your name, messages, missed calls. A man falling to pieces. She imagined your voice trembling with apologies, begging her to come back, searching for answers to a question she'd already decided didn't matter. In her story, you were supposed to crumble. Because that's what she's seen before. Men unraveling. Drowning in their own confusion. Shrinking under the weight of heartbreak. And in that destruction, that's where she finds her validation. That's what makes her feel powerful. That's what tells her she still has a grip on you. But when you didn't break, when the only thing she heard was silence, everything shifted. That silence? It wasn't avoidance. It wasn't retreat. It was presence, focused, controlled, unshakable presence. Because silence doesn't mean nothing, it means everything. It's not a void, it's a boundary. It speaks volumes about your strength, about your self-worth, about your refusal to be pulled into her storm. It's power wrapped in stillness. And it's the move she never saw coming. Here's what most men never understand. The deepest cut you can give someone who thought you'd chase them is silence. No reaction, no emotion, no signal that they still matter. Just your quiet. And it's that quiet that starts to echo in her mind. Not because you're being cold, but because now she has to face herself, without distraction, without drama, without the comfort of your attention. That silence becomes a mirror and she's forced to stare into it. Not because you posted a cryptic quote. Not because you threw a jab online. But because you simply disappeared. The man who once poured his heart out is now unreachable. And that shift hits hard. Silence leaves room. And in that room, her mind starts racing. Did you even care? Was it all an act? Did she mistake your love for weakness? Slowly, the dynamic flips. You're no longer chasing. She's no longer sure. She starts reaching, not out of love, but out of confusion. A need for confirmation. Any sign that she still lingers in your mind. But there's only silence. Not as a tactic, but because you've evolved. Your life expanded beyond her orbit. And this is the pivot. The exact second the pain she expected you to drown in becomes her own reflection. Not sparked by revenge or confrontation, but by the undeniable truth that her influence over you is gone. That quiet you gave her? It thundered. It told her everything. About your growth. About your new standards. About your refusal to be pulled back into emotional chaos. She walked away expecting to shake you. But what she found was peace. She expected to see you shattered. Instead, she saw a man centered. That calm shook her more than chaos ever could. Because now, she's not just facing the end of a relationship, she's facing the reality that the version of you she once had a grip on is gone. Emotional control. It's not about becoming cold or shutting off your heart. It's not about pretending you don't care or acting like a machine. No, true emotional control is the highest form of masculine strength. Not because you stop feeling, but because you stop reacting like a puppet every time you're triggered. Most men don't get this. They walk around thinking they're in control, until one message, one post, one memory sends them spiraling. They get angry, jealous, desperate, and just like that, she wins. Because if she can predict your every move, she's not just reading your emotions. She's writing them. A man who's easily provoked is a man who can be easily broken. Let that sink in. If your peace rises and falls based on what she does, then you're not leading your life. You're reacting to hers. She presses a button, you lash out. She goes silent, you chase. She posts a photo. You spiral. And she knows. She watches it happen. She relies on it. That's how most men stay stuck. Not because they're weak, but because they mistake reaction for reality. They think emotion equals truth when really they're just following commands. But the man who stays composed, the one who holds his ground when the world around him trembles, that man is rare. He's powerful not because he's loud, but because he doesn't have to be. He doesn't beg, he doesn't defend. He doesn't chase. His stillness isn't weakness, it's precision. It's a deliberate decision. A quiet kind of strength that turns confusion into clarity. Because when you answer with peace instead of panic, with grounded presence instead of emotional chaos, with focus instead of fury, you become what most men never become. Unshakable. She thought you'd snap. She expected a storm. She braced for begging, apologies, or fireworks. But you gave her silence. No blocking, no online detective work. No long paragraphs trying to fix what she broke. You just shifted your energy. And in that shift, you reclaimed the one thing she believed she still held, your power. That quiet? It rattled her because now she's in unfamiliar territory. She starts to wonder, did you ever love her at all? Was she mistaken about the hold she thought she had? Or were you simply far more grounded than she ever realized? Those questions weren't triggered by anything you said. They came from what you didn't say. Because silence, when it's built on self-worth, speaks volumes. Here's the truth, people fear what they can't predict. The moment you react, you hand her the playbook. She knows your next move, your patterns, your triggers. But when you stop playing along, when you stay composed, you strip her of the control she once had over your emotions. And that loss of certainty? That's what begins to shake her. The longer you maintain your silence, the stronger you stand. Not because you're trying to teach her a lesson, but because you finally chose you. Mastering your emotions isn't about vengeance. It's about realignment. It's about reclaiming your power without needing a scene, a spectacle, or an audience. You owe no one your reaction. No one your breakdown. What you do owe is your own peace. So lock this in. A man who can't be triggered can't be controlled. While others burn themselves chasing validation, the emotionally grounded man locks into purpose. And that makes him untouchable. This is the reversal no one talks about. People don't value what's always available. It's not manipulation, it's human nature. The more you offer without boundaries, the more invisible you become. And that's why so many men collapse after heartbreak. They beg, they flood her phone, they over-explain, they try to undo the damage by losing themselves. But every time you do that, you reinforce what she already suspects. That she holds the power and you're lost without her. But when you stop chasing, when your silence becomes your stance, when all you offer is space and stillness, everything shifts. The script flips. And the story changes, completely. Suddenly you're no longer easy to read. You're not the guy glued to his screen watching her stories hoping for a signal. You've become unpredictable, and unpredictability is magnetic. When she can't sense your presence, when your name doesn't pop up, when your energy fades from her orbit, her mind kicks into overdrive. Why hasn't he reached out? Did I ever really matter? Has he already moved on? This is where the shift begins, not through games, not through cryptic posts or forced jealousy, but through your complete absence. You're not plotting, you're not performing, you're simply unavailable, and that silence grows louder than any message ever could. Because the human brain hates unanswered questions. It craves resolution. And when you give her silence, you give her space to write her own narrative, but this time, it's one driven by doubt. She starts wondering if you've found peace, if you've upgraded your life, if the version of you she once knew is gone, and the new one doesn't look back. Maybe she thinks you've found someone who sees your value. Maybe she imagines you hitting the gym, locked in, moving with purpose. Maybe she finally sees the man she never thought you'd become, without needing a single word from you. And that's the twist. You didn't have to post proof. You didn't have to play a role. Your silence became the loudest statement you've ever made. In her world, attention is everything. It's how she measures her worth. So the moment you pulled yours back, her certainty began to unravel. What you call indifference she feels as a storm. Because indifference isn't just control, it's quiet warfare. When you treat her like she's no longer the center of your world, she begins to question whether she ever truly was. When you stop showing up, stop reacting, stop feeding the loop, she starts questioning herself. That doubt doesn't scream. It creeps in, soft at first, then it spreads, until it morphs into regret. But by the time that regret arrives, it's too late. Because regret doesn't bloom from being left. It grows from watching someone you once had wrapped around your finger become unreachable, untouchable. And here's the twist: it didn't happen because you begged harder. It happened because you stopped completely. You did what most men don't. You walked away, not with a scene, not with a scream, but with silence. No big send-off, no final goodbye. Just distance, growth, and a quiet exit. Now she's the one looking back, scrolling through old chats, replaying moments in her mind, trying to pinpoint the exact moment she lost her grip on you. Not because of what you said, but because you chose the path most never take. You mastered detachment. Complete withdrawal. Reverse psychology at its finest, without a single word spoken. Because pain doesn't just sting. It forges. It builds men or breaks them. There's no middle lane. And the one who rises from heartbreak? He doesn't just move on, he evolves. He doesn't numb it with distractions or fake a smile pretending he's fine. No, he leans into the ache, feels every bit of it, but refuses to let it break him. Instead, he lets it shape him. Pain, when faced head-on, becomes the most precise weapon a man can forge himself with. It slices through comfort, revealing every weakness, every attachment, every lie he once told himself. And that raw honesty? It's a blessing because it clears the fog. Most men run, they bury the pain under noise. Weekend parties, cheap validation, endless swipes, nights spent lost in someone else's body, searching for a feeling that isn't coming back. They revisit old messages, hoping for some magical closure. They lie awake, eyes fixed on the ceiling, haunted by replays of conversations and moments they can't change. But every second they spend stuck in the past steals time from the man they were meant to become. Because unprocessed pain is a prison. But transformed pain? That becomes momentum. The man who rises doesn't dodge the storm, he walks into it. Then silently he rebuilds. No announcement, no performance, just relentless action. He's not after revenge, he's after rebirth. Every time his alarm goes off and he gets up without hesitation, that's pain turned into discipline. Every drop of sweat in the gym when his body screams and he keeps pushing, that's heartbreak turning into power. Every book he studies, every skill he sharpens, every dollar he stacks with quiet focus, it's all forged in the fire of what once hurt him. He's not building to prove a point. He's building because he's finally realized the only way forward is straight through the fire. And this kind of transformation? It's not loud. You won't find it in captions. You won't see it in stories. But trust me, it's felt. She'll feel it too one day. Whether that day comes in weeks, months, or years, she won't recognize the man standing in front of her. She walked away from one version of you, but she'll come back to find someone unshakably different, sharper, calmer, focused, untouchable, not because you wanted her to regret losing you, but because you stopped needing her to begin with. That's the shift. Most men evolve hoping she'll notice. Hoping she'll see what she lost. But real growth isn't for her. It's for the man staring back in the mirror. It's the moment you stop needing to be fixed and start becoming unbreakable. Pain wasn't placed in your path to punish you. It was there to wake you up. To force you to finally build something stronger. Not for her, not for attention, but for the man you were always meant to be. And now, she's not hated. Not resented. Just irrelevant. Because the version of you who once needed her validation? He didn't make it through the fire. He burned, and from those ashes rose a man who no longer waits for closure. Because he became the one who closed the door himself. That's the essence of detachment. And no, it's not about becoming numb. It's not about pretending you didn't hurt. It's about choosing peace over emotional chaos. It's reclaiming your energy. It's no longer giving someone else the remote to your mind and mood. You don't detach to punish her. You detach to protect you, your growth, your mission, your rise. Because the truth is, as long as she still holds a sliver of your attention, she still holds a fraction of your strength. And a man split between his past and his purpose is a man who never becomes everything he could have been. Real detachment doesn't mean pretending you don't care. It means actually not caring. You're no longer checking her social media out of discipline. You're not checking it at all. Not because you're holding back, but because it simply doesn't cross your mind. You're not curious about her life, not crafting moments to get noticed. not hoping she stumbles across your glow-up. Your focus has shifted fully inward. And that's the difference. You no longer measure your worth through someone else's reaction. It lives now in your consistency, in how you show up for yourself, in how you've turned silence into a strength. That's what makes detachment powerful, not just emotionally but energetically. When you stop chasing, people start noticing. When you no longer need attention, your presence becomes impossible to ignore. You move differently. You speak with purpose. You don't explain, you embody. You're not proving anything to her or to anyone. You're just becoming. And the world feels it, especially her. She sees that the man who once revolved around her has found his own center. The man who used to make her the sun has now become his own gravity. She starts wondering, not because of what you post but because of what you no longer say. That emotional tether? It's cut, and your silence isn't a pause. It's a boundary, built not from bitterness, but from becoming. And now she's the one who scrolls. She's the one wondering. That's the paradox of detachment. The moment you stop needing her to regret losing you is the moment she does. Because you're not performing anymore. You're at peace, and real detachment isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It moves in discipline, in daily choices, in the quiet decision to never give your emotional energy to what no longer serves your future. The man who lives in this energy doesn't need to show off. He doesn't need to post updates or talk about his glow-up. He simply becomes. Quietly. Consistently. Step by step, he walks further from the version of himself that once needed her, and closer to the man who needs no external validation. Because the moment her opinion no longer holds weight, the moment you stop caring what she does, who she's with, or whether she regrets leaving, is the moment you see clearly, she was never the destination. She was the lesson. A detour that forced you to reroute back to yourself. And that's where the cold shoulder effect comes in. There's a silence so loud, it drowns out even the loudest voices. But there's something even more powerful than silence: presence without reaction. That's the real cold shoulder. It's not indifference you pretend to feel. It's the composure you've earned. The kind that stays unmoved even when she reappears. Whether by chance or by intention, when you cross paths again, she's not just checking in. She's checking for access. Looking to see if she still stirs something in you. But you don't flinch, no spark, no anger, no emotion to feed her curiosity, just calm, just presence, just peace. And in that stillness, you say everything without saying a single word. She's searching for a signal. Some hint that she still lives somewhere inside you. That behind the silence, you've left a door cracked open. She wants to see it in your eyes, that flicker, that hesitation, that subtle shift when you hear her voice. She's hoping you'll overcompensate, talk too much, laugh too loud, or fall into that awkward energy of someone still caught in the past. But the man who's truly healed doesn't perform. He doesn't rush to prove he's over it. He doesn't go cold, and he doesn't play pretend. Instead, he stays calm. He responds if spoken to, but never more than necessary. His tone is steady. His expression unreadable. His posture grounded. He doesn't lean in, doesn't reach back. He stays right where he is, present, stable, and completely unaffected. Not because he's trying to be distant, but because he is free. And that's what shatters her. Because she expected emotion. Anything. A crack in your armor. A trace of the man who once made her feel like the center of the universe. Anger would have shown you still cared. Jealousy would have meant she still mattered. Even coldness would have hinted at emotional residue. But indifference? Indifference tells her the storm is over. It tells her the cord has been cut. That her influence, her access, is gone. Not just to your time but to your energy. And that's what unsettles her most. She's looking at a man who has nothing to prove. A man who once poured his heart into her, now offering nothing more than a polite smile before walking away. That shift wrecks her. Because the power she thought she held didn't leave in chaos. It slipped out the side door quietly while she was too distracted to notice. And now she's the one left standing in the silence. That's the cold shoulder effect. It's not about bitterness. It's not about rejection. It's the quiet kind of closure that needs no conversation. It's the moment she realizes the man she used to know no longer exists, and in his place stands a stranger. Not cruel, not angry, just free. The final stage, indifference. There comes a moment in real healing when the fire cools. When the anger runs out of fuel. When the sadness stops pulling at your chest. When you no longer check your phone hoping her name lights up the screen. When the imaginary conversations fade, the ones where you picture running into her and saying all the right things. That moment? That's indifference, and you can't fake your way into it. You don't perform it, you become it. True indifference isn't cold or bitter. It's not masking pain while secretly hoping she notices. It's not disappearing just to punish her. Real indifference is quiet freedom. It's waking up and realizing she just isn't on your mind anymore. It's the day you reclaim your time, your peace, your emotional energy. Not because you deleted her, but because you evolved. She no longer fits in the version of life you're building. She's not part of your future. She's not involved in your decisions. She doesn't echo in your self-talk. She's simply gone. Not pushed away. Not ripped out. Just left behind naturally, like an old skin you've outgrown. That's the beauty of it. You didn't force it. You just moved forward so far that she couldn't follow. And now, when her name comes up, there's no reaction, no curiosity, no wait. You're not wondering who she's with, what she's doing, or whether she misses you. You don't need her to realize what she lost, because you've realized what you've gained. Your growth, your peace, your purpose. And that shift, that inner change, it hits different. Because when you reach this level, you stop needing closure. You are the closure. You no longer need to be explained. You no longer crave to be remembered. The only thing that matters now is your direction, forward. She might circle back. She might send a message. She might test your boundaries. But none of that moves you anymore. Because indifference has taken back what once gave her power. Not through declarations. Not by shouting that you're over it. But through quiet exit. Silent evolution. You let go without a sound. You healed without a scene. And in that stillness, you built a life that doesn't need to prove anything. Especially not to someone who once walked away like you didn't matter. You stopped reacting. You started choosing. And from that place of peace, the world responds differently. You move with calm certainty. You earn respect without ever asking for it. People feel your presence, not because you're trying to be noticed, but because you've stopped needing notice. That's the quiet power of true detachment. That's the presence of a man who has mastered his emotions. She was never your final chapter. She was just the plot twist that helped you find your path. She wasn't your destination. She was a chapter, a lesson, a reflection that revealed your blind spots. The need to be needed, the craving for validation, the weight you gave to her approval. But that page has turned. And it didn't turn out of anger, it turned through awareness. She wasn't your future. She was the awakening that pointed you back to yourself. Now you write the story, not with pain in your pen, but with power in your hands. And by the time she grasps what slipped through her fingers, you'll be too far gone, buried in your purpose, surrounded by peace, elevated by progress. She could whisper your name 100 times, and it wouldn't echo. Not because you've gone deaf, but because your world is too full to hear the noise of what's behind you. That's the final level. Not revenge. Not remorse. Indifference, quiet, complete, immovable. This is your becoming. You're not just mending. You're leveling up. Not because she walked away, but because you finally understand she was never the prize. You were. So stop looking back. Stop hoping she'll return. Stop needing anything but the man in the mirror. Choose direction. Choose focus. Choose silence. And from this moment forward, be untouchable. If this message stirred something real inside you, don't just scroll away. Support this channel, not for me but for the men still stuck in the quiet aftermath of heartbreak, searching for clarity. Every like, every comment, every share helps this message reach another man who needs to remember his worth. And if you stayed with me all the way through, drop the word power in the comments below, so I know who's not just watching but rising. Hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who's still hurting. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.